Well, hello there. My name's Andy. This is my first YouTube channel post. So what happened was I was watching a lot of videos about Germany. There seems to be a lot of interest about Germany on YouTube. There's many channels that talk about the differences between America and Germany, but they all seem to be pretty much alike. They all seem to actually talk about the same things, and there's a lot of things that they don't talk about, and I thought maybe I could contribute. Now, I lived in Germany from 1975 to 1979, a long time ago, but it was during the Cold War, so the Germany back then wasn't quite the same as it is today. So I figured, let me tell people my experience, because it might have been a little bit different than people realize. It was weird because I lived there for 4 years, and when I came back to America, nobody really was interested in my experiences. So I'm surprised that people are actually watching this stuff on YouTube now and sharing their experiences with Germany. So I figured, well, let me tell my story and give some insight. Okay, so let me start by saying, first of all, the reason why I went to Germany was because my mother was born in Berlin, and we never spoke German at home. I knew I had German heritage, but I didn't really understand much about it. And one day my grandmother got cancer, and we rushed over to Berlin to see her for the last time. And it was rough. I was just maybe like 8 years old, 7 years old. No, how old was I? Sorry, it was 1975, so I was about maybe 12, 13. Yeah, around there. Well, anyway, when my mother went back to Berlin, she was, I don't know, maybe homesick, because she left Berlin after World War II when it was completely destroyed. And when she went back and saw it all built up and beautiful again, she thought about moving back to Germany. And we had relatives there. I had an uncle and an aunt, and we went there. We ended up in Bavaria because that's where my aunt lived, and my mother wanted to be near that relative. So I ended up in a little town called Höchstadt an der Aisch, which is a little town. It's near Erlangen and a little further away from Nuremberg. So it's in like northern Bavaria. And I have to say it was an amazing experience. I went there without knowing a word of German, but I don't know, I was curious and thought it would be an adventure. So my whole family moved there, my mother, my brother, and my sister. And so where do I start? I want to start talking about the school system, because it was interesting, to say the least. So I started in 6th grade. I went to a place called the Hauptschule. I guess that's like the high school. Now, I didn't really have a choice. They have other schools, like the Realschule and the Gymnasium and things like that. But I wasn't really qualified to go to those schools because of the language barrier. So I really had a problem at first fitting in. I really wanted to fit in, and it was pretty much of a big shock. I was actually terrified the first day. I didn't know what to expect. So I go into the classroom, the teacher introduces me to the class, and I sit down and I'm just sitting there trying to understand what's going on. And yeah, it was tough. The first day I was terrified. To be, everybody was nice and everything, and but they refused to speak English to me. They had the idea that if I was exposed to English, I would not learn German, and they were correct. It was a good idea. So it was rough, but there were classes that didn't require any language. There were lots of them. There was math, there was gym, there was art, there was, what else? They actually made me take English, which I thought was funny. It was mandatory for everybody to learn English, and the funny part was they were teaching me British English, which, of course, is a little bit different than American English, so there was a lot of times where I was spelling color, C-O-L-O-R, instead of C-O-L-O-U-R. And that was interesting because they marked me wrong. And then people would make fun of me and say, hey, the American can't speak English. So I would never get like A pluses. I would get, like A's or B minuses, whatever. I mean, B pluses, whatever. But I wasn't even getting those kind of grades because in Germany, you don't get A's and B's and C's, you get 1s, 2s, and 3s. So their system is 1 through 6. 1 is the best, 6 is failing. So everything there was completely different. Not just the language. The culture. So it was a lot to get used to. Like when I was doing math, I had to understand the metric system. Same thing with science. It wasn't that hard to learn, but since it's base 10, but still it was different than I was used to. And, the paper size was different. I wasn't allowed to write with a ballpoint pen. I had to actually use a fountain pen, which took a little bit of getting used to, but actually it made my handwriting look better for some reason. Interesting. So, I got used to that. It was, yeah. So the thing is, I would go into a classroom, and instead of like high schools in America, where you go from one classroom to the next for each class, you'd stay in the same classroom and the teachers would change. So the math teacher would come in, and then the, science teacher would come in, and so on for each class. So I thought that was interesting. Now I did have a main teacher, that did most of the stuff, but for certain classes you'd have a specialist, I guess, come in and teach. Like for English, I had a separate teacher come in and stuff like that. So I was trying to fit in, and it was during the Cold War, so I didn't realize that America was looked upon as like almost, I don't know, they looked up to Americans, and I didn't even know that or realize it. So I was trying to fit into their culture, and everybody was like actually curious about my culture, my American culture, and tried to dress like me and be like me. But the funny part was, since I was trying to be like them, it kind of canceled each other out. It was kind of weird. So, yeah, I was trying, but I started to realize, a lot of things in Germany, like the movies and the music and the TV shows and a lot of the brands, they were all American. And, so it was kind of weird. I kept thinking, gee, I turned on the radio, how come they don't have German music on the radio? It's all English. What's going on? Don't they have their own music? So I was a little disappointed with that. I was expecting to learn, new culture and new things, and a lot of it was Americanized. So that was interesting. But, all right, so getting back to the school. Yeah, so I went with the sixth grade. Uh, I started to fit in. Maybe about a year into it, I was actually understanding most of what was being said to me. I learned German pretty quickly. Um, in English class, they were. I remember they were teaching a song, way down upon the Swanee River, and I just so happened to have a record of that song, a children's record that I brought with me from America. So I brought it in, and the teacher was so excited, and she played the record, and we all sang along to it, and it was fun, And I made a lot of friends, and again, I just didn't realize that, they were mesmerized in a way with America, and I just had no idea. So, yeah, I did 6th grade, 7th grade, so on, And when I got to, I think it was the 9th grade, another American kid came and joined the class. And it was interesting because his parents were in the military, and I was more like a civilian. So I was already into the culture. I was speaking the language by then. I understood, everything. And this new guy comes in, and he's, totally Americanized, has no idea what's going on. And I kind of felt for him because I was in that situation. So I tried to make friends with him, I was like, hey, how you doing? And he didn't really, didn't, I don't know, he just didn't want to be friends, I guess. He didn't really say much to me, and so I just kind of gave up trying to be his friend, and, So he would bring in all the stuff from the American Army base, all the supplies. So he had a ballpoint pen, and he had his own notebook, which is the wrong size, and and his clothes were like, he would come in wearing a football jersey, which was a little bit frowned upon. He's supposed to kind of like dress up a little nice, and he was just sticking out like a sore thumb, basically. But I guess they tolerated it. I was kind of like, gee, this guy is not even making any effort to try to fit in, And whatever, so it was going on, everything was fine. And one day, he wasn't paying attention to the class. I guess it's hard to pay attention when you don't understand the language, and you don't really care. So the teacher called him up to the front of the class. And so he's standing up in front of the class with the teacher, and we're all looking. And the teacher was trying to, I don't know, talk to him and ask him like why he was misbehaving or whatever. And instead of being respectful to the teacher, he was just clowning around in front of the class, like making faces and, just being silly. And the teacher just like lost his temper and literally like smacked him in the face like really hard. I heard it. And I was shocked. Everybody made a gasp. They're like, whoa. And he actually started to bleed out of his nose. And so the teacher sent him to the bathroom so he can get cleaned up. And while I was in the bathroom, the teacher told me to go see if he was all right. So I got up and went there into the bathroom and tried to talk to him. And he didn't, he looked, I mean, I don't know, he was just very hurt. Emotionally, he was hurt. Not, I mean, physically too, but, emotionally he was just like, shocked. And, I don't know, it hurt his ego, I guess. So, I tried to talk to him, but again, he didn't really care about being friends or me consoling him or anything. So, I left him in the bathroom. I left him at that. I went back to the class and told the teacher he's okay. And yeah, so the next day, that student wasn't there anymore. And I can only imagine what happened. I mean, the teacher probably got pretty reprimanded and in trouble. He didn't get fired or anything, but it was weird because now that I look back, you know, he was an American citizen, and he was in the military on top of it. I mean, not him himself, but his parents were in the military, and they were in Germany to protect Germany from communism and Russia and all that, Soviet Union. And it was very politically tense, you know. So I've never seen anybody get hit before, never mind an American, you know, in a school. But yeah, it probably turned into a big issue. And yeah, I was shocked. So I don't know. Further, a few months later, we were learning how to like ferment alcohol in chemistry class. And so what happened was I went home and, you know, like for homework, I took some yeast and, you know, all the chemicals, and I put it in the bottle, and I closed up the bottle, you know, with one of those like corks. And I kind of realized it would ferment and, you know, it would build up pressure. But I don't know what I was thinking. I knew that was going to happen, but whatever. So I brought the homework back to school and gave it to the teacher. And he tried to open it up, and the pressure, you know, caused the bottle to squirt, you know, of course. And it took a while for the teacher to, it didn't splatter all over him, but it kind of like leaked all over his hand and everything. And, you know, he was struggling with it, trying to like make sure it didn't squirt everywhere. And I kind of thought that was funny, you know, and everybody else in the class was like dead silent. They were like, "Oh my God, what's happening? Why did you do this to the teacher?" You know. And I don't know if I did it on purpose, maybe subconsciously I did. But afterwards, I thought I was going to get in big trouble. And the teacher didn't, he just said, "Oh, I guess you didn't know that was going to happen." And he left it at that. And looking back, I think maybe because of that incident with the other American, that I had a little bit of immunity from, you know, getting in trouble. Especially with that particular teacher, so I got away with it. And now I look back and I go, gee, I kind of am happy that I did that in a way. I mean, nobody got hurt, and, you know, but it was sort of like a revenge thing, like, you know, don't mess with Americans, you know, type of thing. But, you know, I mean, I don't know. It was weird. But, so anyway, after the 9th grade, I couldn't move on. I wanted to work in television. And, you know, in Germany, it was a lot different. They only had 3 channels, and if you look on the credits, like of the newscast, everybody had a PhD after their name. Like, you had to be like super smart to work in television. So when I told, you know, when the guidance counselor asked me, "Oh, what do you want to do, you know, after 9th grade?" Because they send you to, like, you know, an apprenticeship, you know, like if you want to be a plumber or an electrician or a farmer or whatever, you know, they send you off and they kind of teach you the business, and, you know, then you get hired. So it's an interesting concept, but I told them I wanted to work in television, and they go, no, you got to be serious. You can't, you know. And I said, no, I am serious. And they go, well, that's not possible. And it was funny because I said, well, I'm going to do it. So that was like at the end of, I graduated, I got their diploma, whatever, the high school diploma, and there was not much more I could do there. So we ended up going back to America, and, I went, since I was only in 9th grade, I did 10th and 11th and 12th grade in America, and went off to college to learn about television. And then when I got my first job in television, I took a picture of myself in the control room in the TV studio, and I sent it back to my guidance counselor and proved to him that, yeah, I can work in television, So it kind of made me feel good because they say America is the land of opportunity, and it is. In that respect, it really is. I mean, I didn't have the chance to do what I wanted to do in Germany, and I ended up having a career in television here in America. Now, things, of course, have changed as cable and satellite and all that. So their television industry has grown. But back then, the opportunities weren't there. So let me move on to the television and radio and broadcasting business in Germany, and technology itself. So maybe I'll save that for the next edition. This is going long. All right, I hope you stream my next video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, all that nonsense. Hope you're enjoying this. Okay, till next time.